Good evening and welcome to this new episode of Just Winning. I'm your host, John Whitley, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by the host of the main Hitting the Field show, Jarrett Kapperman. Jarrett, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, John. Thank you for finally having me on. I know it's been a long time.
Of course, it's an honor to have you on. And on the other side, I'm joined by recurring guest, Quentin Rodriguez. Quentin, you've become a regular on this show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just ready to talk some more football as usual. My favorite sport, so let's get it going.
Awesome, man. Let's get right into it. Last night we got a doubleheader in Monday Night Football. First game, Chiefs Bills. Not the most exciting game, but I think we learned a lot about these teams. Chiefs bouncing back from getting upset against the Raiders last week, and then on the Bills side, you had a tough spurt of games there where you got to play the Titans last week and then the Chiefs this week, and you drop 0-2. Guys, what did you learn about these teams last night? Quentin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, definitely. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned, I mean, just their ability to adapt. Like that team could really shapeshift into any type of offense that they really need to for that particular matchup of the week. As we saw in Buffalo, it was a little bit cold, a little bit rainy, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their rookie running back, he had an absolute field day. That man had over 160 yards rushing. Patrick Mahomes was quite efficient as well. He was 21 for 26, I believe. I believe he only had 5 incompletions. So overall, even though that he really wasn't throwing the ball that much, they were still able to run that ground and pound game, keep Josh Allen off of the field, who wasn't exactly having the most efficient day. And it's just cool to see the Chiefs adapt to a little bit more of a running game too. Their backup running back was getting his as well, and it's nice to see that Patrick Mahomes doesn't always have to do it by himself. Now that they have a little bit of a running game, definitely going to be able to complement them, especially for when they go deeper on into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, especially since that backfield's about to get a little bit deeper with bringing in Le'Veon Bell. I think you bring up a good point how they were really able to adapt the game plan to the weather. It was hard to throw downfield like they're so accustomed to, but they were able to grind and pound and hit some of those shorter throws. Jarrett, what did you learn about these teams last night?
I think it's clear that we learned that the Bills are fake. I don't know if the Bills are legit. This is back-to-back week against top teams in their conference that they just didn't look like they were even belonging on the same field as them. As you mentioned, the Chiefs are only going to get deeper adding Le'Veon Bell, but like, how much is he going to even play? Because Clyde Edwards looked amazing. Like, I don't even think they're even thinking about, oh, we got Bell coming in. I think Bell might be looking at like another back seat. I think what was really impressive though was Mahomes' ability to give up on the pass game and say, you know what, we're going to ground and pound, and they ran all over the Bills.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you bring up a good point because we haven't seen Le'Veon Bell play good football in a while, and with the way Clyde's playing, it certainly seems like he'll be the feature back for the time being. I think you bring up a good point on the Bills side too. They certainly feel like frauds right now. 2 weeks ago, we were talking to them as one of the best teams in the AFC. We were talking about Josh Allen as an MVP candidate. Right now, today, do you guys think Josh Allen's MVP chances are done? Jared, I'll start with you.
100%. You can't have back-to-back bad weeks. I mean, you look at Russell Wilson, who's had a great season. You can look at, I mean, you could say Aaron Rodgers kind of fell off too. I would say it's Russell Wilson's race right now. Josh Allen, unless he has a monster closing 10, 11 games of the season, I don't see him winning it.
Yeah, Q.
No, I mean 100%. I do feel like really within this 2 game stretch, it was Josh Allen's time to really prove himself because who were they really playing within the first 4 game start? I mean, honestly, like let's just be honest. And then if you look at that division two, I mean the AFC East is playing some pretty good defense. I mean, obviously we have New England Patriots who they still have to play twice. We all know that Bill Belichick, he's his defensive scheme is immaculate. And then for what it's worth, I mean, the Miami Dolphins just pitched out a shutout against the Jets. I mean, I know that they're pretty terrible too, but they're still going to have to go get some good quality defenses. And Josh Allen, just whenever he was going against teams that have good secondary, such as the past 2 teams that they faced, he's just been off. Just his receivers haven't really been getting open, and then he'll have to try to extend the play, and then just really not really making the plays that we're accustomed to him seeing on the outside. So I do feel like Josh Allen is a little bit of the MVP race as he currently stands today.
Yeah, to me, Josh Allen is a weird one. He's still one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league to watch. I think, MVP chances are absolutely done because if you can't beat the good teams, then you don't belong in that conversation. But I think it's interesting to think about if he's even the long-term solution for the Bills because there's times where he's still, even last night, there was moments where he looked like an elite quarterback still, when there's times where he looks absolutely terrible, among the league's worst. So, it's continues to be a roller coaster with Josh Allen. I think it may be that way for his whole career.
I think the Bills' issue is the run game. I mean, Josh Allen is averaging the most yards per carry on the team with 3.9. I mean, if you look at people that have, over 20 attempts or whatever, that's not good. Why is your quarterback running the ball that much? They need to get a running back. Josh Allen's trying to do too much, I think, which I think if they had like a good running back, if they went out and got Le'Veon Bell, maybe that would have alleviated some pain from Josh Allen's shoulders and maybe open up some more options in the playbook.
Yeah, no doubt. I think trade deadline's coming up. I think maybe you make a deal for a good running back. Who knows? For the Bills, you got to figure it out quick. As you said, they still got to play the Patriots twice. Let's move into the later game from last night. The Cowboys started life without Dak Prescott and got absolutely throttled by the Arizona Cardinals. The good news for the Cowboys is they're still winning their division with only 2 wins. I've got 2 Eagles fans here. Can the Cowboys keep it on course and still win that division? Who do you guys think is the favorite to win that division? Jared, I'll start with you.
I still think the Cowboys. I mean, it's tough to say because the Eagles are at least competing with teams. Andy Dalton looked like absolute trash last night. I would say it's going to come down to the Eagles versus Cowboys games. One team's going to go 2-0 in those, and whoever goes 2-0 is going to win that division. But I mean, the winner's going to be what 7-8-1, 8-8. Like it's going to be a bad division. I really think it's the Eagles' division to lose because they are, I would say, the best team talent-wise based off who's healthy. But again, it's the NFC East. The Cowboys, Andy Dalton has been to the playoffs, and he could have just had a bad week for all we know.
No doubt. Quentin, what do you think? How do you see this NFC East race playing out?
Oh man, I mean, I am gonna have to agree with Jared on that one because just the thing is, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, like even when you have weapons galore surrounded by you, I mean, even Andy Dalton could not do anything. And then we noticed that they did try to get Ezekiel Elliott involved a little bit more, but he just kept fumbling, just kept giving the ball away. And then the Dallas Cowboys currently lead the league in points scored off a turnover. So meaning whenever they turn over the ball, their defense is giving up 6 points, and that's not exactly the best recipe for success. And then on top of that, we know that their defense is absolutely atrocious. They're always on the field. And then just the thing is, when they did have Dak Prescott from before, at least that they were able to come back and then at least be a little bit more competitive towards the latter part of the game, since he was kind of just thrown for what some may say empty calories at that point. But in the NFC East, like Jared said, the Eagles have been a lot more competitive in the games that they played. I mean, within the Eagles' past 2 games, they put up almost 80 points on the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, who we all believe have very good defenses. Come November, the Eagles are going to be getting some positive reinforcements coming back on the offensive side of the ball, which they really need, such as Dallas Goedert, Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson. Who knows if he's ever going to play again? Alshon Jeffrey, we'll see about that situation. So we'll just see if Carson Wentz does have a little bit more help. The Eagles should be able to propel their way to an NFC East title, but I think it may be at 6-9-1. I was looking at the rest of the Philadelphia Eagles schedule, and it's not looking very good. I mean, they still have to play some tough opponents. Their next 3 games are the Giants, Cowboys, and then the Giants again. So they could easily go 3-0 within that stretch. But then towards the latter half of the schedule, they do have to play some tougher opponents. But they do have a primetime matchup with Dallas week 16. And I really do believe that's when the division will be settled.
No doubt. I think that's good analysis because I think, the Eagles, they've looked really, really good in losses against 2 great teams. I think, for the Eagles, like if you can get healthy, you can beat anybody in the NFL. The issue is we've been saying that for 2 years now, so it feels out of the questions for the Eagles to get healthy.
We say it every year, and yet they still somehow crawl into the playoffs. So it's kind of like you expect them to still get there somehow.
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly. But excuse me, John. And then, like, that's just a testament to the coaching that they have there going on as well. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at Doug Peterson. he's been through thick and thin with this team. As we all know, 7-9 start from the beginning, and then the 13-3 season, won the Super Bowl, crept into the playoffs the other 2 seasons at 9-7. So definitely, whenever adversity hits, Philadelphia typically responds. As we can see in Dallas, it's not really happening that way. It seems like the adversity is hitting, and they just seem to trend in the much lower direction.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I think Doug Peterson is an elite coach, and I think we can count out the Redskins and the Giants. And based on what I saw from the Cowboys last night, it's definitely the Eagles' division to lose. I think that's enough NFC least talk for today. Let's move forward into Week 7. We got a great slate of games coming up. Quentin, what are you most looking forward to?
I mean, honestly, I can't believe that these words are actually coming out of my mouth, but I really want to see how Tom Brady and the Buccaneers do. I mean, after putting together a very impressive performance against Aaron Rodgers, as Jared mentioned, leading MVP candidate behind Russell Wilson. I mean, they shut that man down to only 10 points in the first half, which is just crazy. I mean, if like I talked about yesterday on the main show, whenever Aaron Rodgers threw that pick six, like I felt like Green Bay was completely out of the game. And if their defense could continue to force turnovers and then give their offense a little bit of extra possessions, give them short field, have Tom Brady operate with his plethora of weapons on the outside, and also we have Rob Gronkowski's come with a little bit of an emergence. Tampa Bay could be a scary team, man.
No doubt. Jarrett, what are you most looking forward to in Week 7?
There's like 2 games that I'm looking forward to. One is the battle of the unbeatens between the Steelers and the Titans because, I mean, someone's got to lose, right? I mean, unless it ends in a tie. I mean, Derrick Henry's looked like an absolute monster, but Big Ben's looked great this season, and the Steelers keep finding ways to win. But after last night's game, I'm really excited to see the Seahawks versus Cardinals because if the Cardinals are legit, they have a great shot at the division, and I think there's no better test than playing the Seattle Seahawks who are coming off a bye week. So the Seahawks are well rested; they're going to be at full strength. If the Cardinals can come out and blow the doors off the Seahawks, then I think people just need to start looking at the Cardinals. So I'm actually looking forward to that matchup the most.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cardinals are still very much alive in that competitive NFC West race. I think, the game I'm going to be most excited to see is the one you brought up before, is that Steelers-Titans battle of the unbeatens. I don't think we've seen Ben Roethlisberger against an elite defense yet, like the Titans have shown us they appear to be. And then, on the other side, the Steelers last week held the NFL's best rushing attack with the Cleveland Browns in check. So, let's see, can they keep Derrick Henry in check? So I think that's going to be a really, really exciting game to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Derrick Henry just put up a monster game, so we'll see if he can do it again against, I would say, a much better defense than the Texans because the Texans are trash.
Yeah, no doubt. If you guys had to pick right now today who wins that game and stays undefeated, Quentin, who you got?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, just the thing is they've been looking pretty good. I mean, I know that they haven't exactly had the best of schedules, but in all of their wins, we've seen emergence from different types of players. I mean, against the Philadelphia Eagles, Chase Claypool had a day. He followed up with his next performance. Benny Snell's coming into his own. James Conner is also doing a great job running the football. And I just believe if they do a good job setting the tone, then they'll be able to set up their play action pass, be able to take shots against Tennessee secondary, which is a little bit weaker with the Dory Jackson playing corner right now. So we're definitely going to have to see between that matchup. But right now, if I had to pick it on paper, I would choose the Steelers over the Titans in a classic AFC rivalry.
Awesome. Jarrett, who you got?
It's tough because both of these teams have really not looked good in their 5-0. Like the Steelers have probably looked better, but the Titans, I mean, they're coming out with 1-possession wins. I mean, they went to overtime against the winless Texans. I'm at the favor the Steelers on this one. They're going to ride the momentum from that Browns win and go to Tennessee, and I think Big Ben's going to come out with a monster game, and I think this is going to be a breakout game for Juju as well.
I'm going to go in the other direction. I've got the Titans winning. I think Ryan Tannehill has been the better quarterback this year. And that's nothing against Ben Roethlisberger. I think Ben Roethlisberger has played really well. But I think, with Ryan Tannehill, if it wasn't for the history we've seen with him, and if his name wasn't Ryan Tannehill, I think we'd be talking about him as an MVP candidate. So I'm going Titans 31-24.
I might want to pump the brakes on the MVP talk, though.
I mean, if you look at the numbers don't lie. I think it's just the fact that, his name's Ryan Tannehill.
That's fair. We'll see. I don't know. I remember last year I had said I trusted Ryan Tannehill to drive down the field to win a game, and I think Kyle Partain looked at me with the strangest face you'd ever seen. So I've been on the Tannehill train. I understand.
Hey, the Tannehill train. It's a new year. It's a new Tannehill. Thank you both for joining me for this NFL talk. We'll be right back with a little Big Ten preview and our Beast Bust and Best of the Week.
I've already had a good week. This you gonna get an L, Sean. I've never been 0-2 in any fantasy league of records that I've been in, and it ain't gonna start this week. I promise you. Projections don't mean nothing. Come back next week when you catch another L, Nick, like you've been doubting my Nuggets. Okay, just get ready to catch another L. What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best, because it is what you say. That it's just what we need. You decided this. What you say? What did she say?
I am absolutely flabbergasted and shocked, frankly, that the Rams are the underdogs. I say the Rams win at +2.5. It's not even close. Bet the house on the Rams. The Bills lose this one. I don't know why. It confuses me. I don't know.
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best.
The Astros are going to cry. They're going to lose in 4, and they're going to go home, and they're going to cry and think about what they've done.
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best.
Okay, so that's wrong. And I'm going Marlins because why not? The Fish don't lose in the postseason. Represent.
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best, because it is.
Welcome back. Next week, we get the Big Ten finally kicking off their 8-game season. I know I can't wait to see it. Our Big Ten game of the week, Michigan versus Minnesota. It's our only ranked matchup in the Big Ten. Quentin, who you got in that one?
Oh man, I mean, my friends back home may not be the most happy with me, but I'm definitely gonna have to go with Michigan in this game. I mean, if you look at the coaching of Harbaugh, I mean, just the physicality that his defense presents, I think it's just gonna have a little bit of a bigger impact as opposed to Minnesota's offense. As we do know, they are losing their best receiver, who is Tyler Johnson. He's currently on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I do believe that Harbaugh's defensive scheme should be able to prevail in this one. As we know in the Big Ten, it usually is a little bit of a defensive struggle. So I would take Michigan in a lower scoring game, 17-13. Actually, it's going to be a close one.
I like that. Jarrett, who do you have?
I got to do it just based off the mascot. I got to go with the Golden Gophers. They started the season off really strong last year. They were, in the top 10, and honestly, we all thought they were going to have a much better season than what they ended up with. They still had a successful season, but I think Michigan's known for choking. It's been a long off season. The Big Ten did not expect to play this game. I don't think Harbaugh's going to be able to rally the troops. Michigan just always seems to be a disaster. Whether it's the start or the end of the season, they can never seem to put it together. Their middle of the season's always great, but the beginning and the end is terrible. I'm taking Minnesota by 7.
Yeah, no doubt. Notice how this is their first game, so that's why I selected them. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to end up choking whenever they have to play, like, the later competition, such as Ohio State and whatnot. I mean, I honestly would not even be surprised if they choked against Michigan State. I mean, that team always seems to have their number in one way or another. So I do agree with that statement, Jarrett, but just for the first game, I just might have to ride with Michigan.
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for PJ Fleck as a coach, but I think last year may have been a one-year wonder for Minnesota. And on Michigan's side, I think this is the time of year where Michigan gets your hopes up. They make you finally think they're they're for real this year before they get exposed as frauds. So I'm going Michigan in a blowout win. I've got 28-14 Michigan by 2 touchdowns.
It's supposed to be cold too, like in the 30s. So that's gonna be some nice
Yeah.
football.
Yeah, that sure will be. And then, you know, in the Big Ten big picture, Ohio State, big favorites to win the Big Ten. Who do you guys think is the biggest challenger to Ohio State? Jared, I'll start with you.
I mean, it has to be, and like I'm just gonna say it, even though we just talked about them, it has to be Michigan. Every year, like I feel like Michigan is always like a play or two away from winning that game, and it's just a matter of when Harbaugh can do it, because this has to be his last year, right? Like if he doesn't beat Ohio State, that's it, he's done. So I would say Harbaugh, he had to have done something this offseason to motivate his team to say, hey, when we play Ohio State this year, we are going to win. So I have to side with Michigan as their biggest rivals, or the biggest competition. I do like Penn State as well, but I just think Michigan will be more motivated this year. I think Michigan is the only team that has the capability of ruining Ohio State's season this year.
Quentin, who do you think?
No, 100%. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, Michigan, I mean, I could really kind of compare them to the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they get your hopes up, and then whenever it's a big game, they always end up losing. So I do feel like Michigan will be able to take them to a bit of a brink. I mean, I do feel like whenever they do play Ohio State, it's not going to be no 62-0 type of nonsense like we saw in years past, but I definitely believe that it will be a little bit more of a competitive matchup. I do think that Penn State will give them a little bit of a run for the money within the conference, like Jared mentioned. But the things with Penn State is they're kind of similar to Michigan. They always seem to drop a game or two that we didn't exactly expect. And then in this situation, I just feel like John Harbaugh does have a little bit something more to say to his troops, to his boys. And like to Jared's point, I mean, I believe that Harbaugh is either 0-6 or 0-7 against Michigan. You got to get the job done, bro, or else he's not going to be coaching them for much longer.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, you know, it's really hard to say that we see any of these teams beating Ohio State because, like I said, Ohio State's overwhelming favorites to win this conference. I think the most likely team is Penn State because of when they have them on their schedule. You know, they get Ohio State in week 2 of the Big Ten season where, you know, Ohio State might still be working out some kinks. You know, maybe Penn State can come out of the gate hot, catch a few breaks, force an upset where it's like by the time Ohio State plays Michigan and most likely Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, that's the end of the season. That's when they should be a finely tuned machine, and they should make easy work of both of those teams. So I'd have to say Penn State is the biggest challenger to Ohio State. Now, I think we all have Ohio State winning the Big Ten. If they are to run the table, should they be able to make the playoffs? Jared, I'll start with you.
No, get him out. No. You did not play a full season. You don't deserve to be in. I had said before this season, I was like, just can't, like, don't even make a playoffs this year. Like, just, like, it doesn't matter because it's going to be a giant asterisk on the season regardless of who wins. The Big Ten does not deserve to be in. The Pac-12 does not deserve to be in. If you do not play a full schedule, you do not deserve to be in. It's simple as that. Reward the teams like Cincinnati that go undefeated and play their whole schedule, and reward the teams that played a full schedule and played 10, 11 weeks of solid competition, not 7, 8 weeks.
Quentin, what do you think?
Definitely. So I don't necessarily agree with the fact that they should get in, but I feel like the committee is going to somehow play a certain type of bias for Ohio State. I mean, if you look at it, I just feel like that they favor certain teams. And then, like you mentioned, Jared, I mean, Cincinnati, I mean, even if they do go undefeated, there's always going to be that thing, oh, well, they play in a lesser conference. So I just feel like if Ohio State does, obviously, if they go 8-0, if they defeat everyone that they're supposed to, if they win convincingly by a good margin, I still feel like the committee is going to have a little bit more of a say in the hand in where they go, especially since they made it to the college football playoff. Last year, they've been recurring guests in there as well, and then they put up a pretty great fight against Clemson. Now, I may not necessarily agree with them making it, but I just feel like the committee does have certain biases towards certain different teams. And I do believe, like we said, this is a COVID season. the committee should have gotten a little bit smarter and maybe tried to expand the college football playoff to 6 or 8 teams. Like, I do understand that this has been a topic of discussion for quite some time, but especially in this type of season, maybe just have an 18 playoff and just see how it goes. You know what I mean? And then that way, like, there won't be no one getting frustrated about how many games are played and whatnot between the conferences. Just have conference champions and let them duke it out. But it seems we still haven't gotten to that spot, like I said, and I may not necessarily agree with it, but I would not be surprised one bit if Ohio State does creep in as the 4th seed.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that, the point that the committee will put them in, because we've seen it in the past where the committee puts teams in that don't deserve it. I do think they're going to look at it from the business side and say Ohio State's a huge moneymaker. We're putting them in. Plus, if they're undefeated, they're going to be like, oh, they're undefeated in the Big Ten. We have to put them in. So they're not going to even look at that, the fact that they only played a 9-game schedule with the conference championship.
Yeah, I can agree. I don't think Ohio State should be able to get in when, you've got other teams that could have 11 wins when their cap is 9 wins, like you said, with the conference championship. I don't think they should be able to. I think, a one-loss SEC, potentially a one-loss ACC, and then even a one-loss Big 12 is just more impressive to me than Ohio State running the table in, what I consider a weaker conference in the Big Ten. And I thank you guys for your analysis on the Big Ten, but let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into our Beast, Bust, and Best of the Week. Quentin, who is your Beast of the Week?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm going to have to go with Derrick Henry, running back of the Tennessee Titans. This man has been absolutely balling out on the season. He already has 518 yards rushing. Last week against the against the Houston Texans, he had 22 rushes for 212 yards, which is just absolutely ridiculous. 2 touchdowns, and he was averaging 9 yards a pop, which is just absolutely ridiculous. He broke off an insane run, a 94-yard touchdown run in which he was running 21.6 miles per hour. The reporter told him that, and his response was, that was too slow. Like, what? This man is determined. He is a man on a mission. He has a nose for the goal line. As we all know, he is super fast. He's just a physical specimen, and no one wants to tackle him towards the latter half of the game. As I know we saw in the 4th quarter in the overtime against Houston Texans, I mean, I felt like no one just wanted to lay a hat on that man, which is understandable. I mean, you definitely have to make a business decision whenever you have to tackle that man. So that's why I'm just going to say he's my Beast of the Week.
Absolutely. I think Derrick Henry certainly is a man who has everything, you want in a Beast of the Week. Jarrett, who is your Beast of the Week?
I got to go with the Denver Broncos kicker, Brandon McManus. 6 for 6 on field goals, average field goals of 41 yards. He scored the only points for the Broncos, single-handedly won the game for the Broncos against the Patriots. And of course, like, just seeing kickers have great performances like that, it's such a feels-good moment for sports, because people say, oh, kickers have the easiest job. All they got to do is kick a field goal. Like, you just can't mess that up. And he didn't. He went 6 for 6, absolutely nailed it. Broncos on his back. That was a big win, too, against a hot Patriots team, with Cam coming back.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, huge upset for the Broncos, and I love that pick because that's the first time we get to see a kicker in our Beast of the Week. My Beast of the Week, I'm going to go with Julio Jones. I think we were just starting to question how much left does Julio have in the tank. Is he done? And he goes out, he shows that he's still one of the best wide receivers in the league with 137 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win. First win of the season for the Falcons. So Julio Jones is my Beast of the Week. Quentin, who is your Bust of the Week?
Bust of the Week, I mean, personal bias aside, I'm going to have to go with Ezekiel Elliott. He is one of my favorite running backs in the league. I believe that Zeke is the best back in the league besides my fan with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you look at the way that he runs, such a physical type of runner. You can throw him the ball to the backfield. He pass protects well. He's just a great all-around running back. And if we looked at his performance with this season, especially last night's game, he had 2 fumbles. Overall, on this season, Ezekiel Elliott has 5 fumbles within the first 6 games that the Dallas Cowboys have played. But within his first 5 seasons of his career, he's only fumbled the ball a grand total of 4 times. So that's just the only thing. He's been giving up the ball. And usually whenever we talk about Ezekiel Elliott, especially now since they're downgraded at quarterback with Dak Prescott being out, Ezekiel Elliott should be the reason why the Dallas Cowboys win, and now I feel like he is the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are losing because he continues to turn over the ball. We know that defense can't stop a nosebleed, and boom, that just results in points getting scored on you. So it's really disappointing to see. Like I said, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I still like Ezekiel Elliott, but he is my bust of the week because he's not really living up to his full potential, and he put the ball on the ground not once but twice on primetime football.
Yeah, no doubt. Primetime when all the country is watching, definitely a great bust of the week. Jarrett, who is your bust of the week?
My bust of the week, I have to actually hop into the baseball world and point out Ronald Acuna Jr. He went 4 for 24 in the NLCS against the Dodgers. I've come on the show before and said that Ronald Acuna has a chance to be like the Mike Trout of the NL, and because he's a special talent, don't get me wrong, but he hits a home run against the Marlins in Game 1, gets hit by a pitch, and then goes and talks reckless on Twitter. And since then, he hasn't hit the ball. He went 10 for 46 in the postseason, and he only racked up a total of 4 hits after that tweet, and he played 9 games after that. So that's not good. You're the face of the team, and frankly, yeah, he might be hurt, but 10 for 46 in the postseason, you guys were up 3-1, absolutely just terrible. I have to point the finger at Acuna because he just did not perform when it mattered the most.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, tough weekend for Atlanta sports fans, seeing the Brave choke it away and then seeing the Georgia Bulldogs lose a meaningful game to Alabama. So certainly a tough one for them. My bust of the week, I'm going to have to go with Cam Newton. There was a lot of excitement with him coming back from the COVID-19, and he goes out and absolutely just lays an egg on the field with a 2 interception games and a loss to the Broncos, a team they had no business losing to. So Cam Newton is my bust of the week. Quentin, who is your best of the week?
Got you. So I'm actually going to come at y'all with a little bit of a curveball. I wasn't going to say the Kansas City Chiefs, but we talked about them at the top of the show. But now I'm going to switch it up and go with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I know it sounds crazy that those words are coming out of my mouth, but I mean, it was crazy. They won 24-0 against the division rival, the New York Jets. I mean, we do know that the Jets are an absolute dumpster fire, but if you look at it, they did it in all 3 phases of the game. Offense looked good. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a few good throws. We actually got to see our first glimpse of Tua Tagovailoa, which he looked pretty good. I mean, I know he didn't really have his passing attempts weren't exactly up there, but he looked clean, precise, crisp in the pocket, and they picked out the first shutout of 2020. And that's actually pretty insane because I didn't really think that the Dolphins had a capability of doing that. But then again, they are playing the New York Jets. It is a little bit of fool's gold. But hey, I mean, I'm happy for Miami Dolphins to be back on the winning column, and now they're 500. So I don't think that many of us expected Miami Dolphins to have as good as the defense as they have, and that's why they're getting my best of this week.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. I think this is the most exciting time for Miami Dolphins fans that I've ever seen. So I think that is a really great best of the week. Jarrett, who is your best of the week?
It was a tough decision for me, honestly, because an honorable mention has to be Team Kappelman in the HTF Fantasy League, coming in with their first win of the season, 1-5. Always shout out to my fantasy teams that are doing absolutely terrible this season. But on the real note, I think I got to go with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw looks like he's overcome his postseason monster. Cody Bellinger is hitting the ball. Max Muncy's hitting the ball. I mean, we had one of the greatest moments in sports history where Will Smith hit a home run off of Will Smith. It's just everything's in the Dodgers' favor right now. Plus, coming back from a 3-1 deficit, I mean, yes, this gets Atlanta sports, so it doesn't really count, but I got to go with the Dodgers. I picked them to win the World Series, and I think they're going to – I don't see them losing after coming back from 3-1. So for now, they're going to be my best of the week, and hopefully they don't turn into my bust of the week.
No doubt. Great best of the week, and congratulations to Team Kappelman picking up that first win. My best of the week was a tough one as well, but I'm going to have to go with the Florida State Seminoles going out, getting that big upset win against the number 5 team in the nation in North Carolina. I think this Florida State team has so much talent on their roster that, they were bound to figure out at some point. It looks like they have, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the Mike Norvell era. And as Jarrett said with his best of the week, hopefully they don't soon turn into my bust of the week. I'd like to really thank you guys for joining me. It's been fun. Please come back soon. And to all of our listeners and watchers, Have a great week.